something we like to say that is very true and that really illustrates our utility for this use case very well is the fact that the cathedral Notre Dame in Paris wouldn't have burned if Kalima was in place. And that's because there was data that was generated up to 6 hours before the fire took place that could have been used and that could have been used for a warning to the firefighters, and that wasn't. With our system, basically, it would have been a real-time information, a real-time alarm, and that could have helped them um, address that problem hours before the fire even went off.
Hi guys, welcome to another installment. It's yours truly, CEO Wiz, aka Mr. Business, and we have yet another exciting guest for you today. So blockchain, Web3, crypto, what does it all mean? You've got questions? Hopefully we've got answers. Please welcome Basile Jannoun. He oversees blockchain and Middle East activities at Kalima. Hi Basile. Welcome to the block.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on your platform. As Wiz said, I'm Basile Jannoun. I'm a Middle East manager at Kalima, a data governance solution company. And we've been recently implanted here in the Middle East. And so having this Middle Eastern background, being both French and Lebanese, also having lived in the Gulf over 18 years, I'm glad to represent my company today. Here in the Middle East.
All right. Thanks, Basile. We're excited to have you. So please tell us, what do you do?
So basically what I do is I oversee everything going on in my company in the Middle East. So that can be both industrial contracts we have, so steering collaboration with big enterprises such as engineering companies or IT solution companies or any really industrial companies so far, mostly in the energy sector. But also what I'm doing now in the context of our expansion, our global expansion, and the publication of our blockchain and our token is I'm also looking to steer partnerships for equity fundraising and our ICO that's coming February 1st. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing for the past 6 months.
Okay, sounds great. So you guys have an ICO coming up, right? What can we look forward to for this ICO?
So yeah, this ICO is going to offer basically to those who buy it the new coin we created, which is the KLX, our native coin. So we created our own blockchain, a layer 1 blockchain, which was truly created out of necessity. And we've put in place a very solid tokenomics, which will ensure that this token will basically feed our ecosystem and create real utility based on real world events, basically, and real world use cases. And so, yeah, we're very excited. I myself am personally very excited for this ICO. And yeah, I hope it's going to go great.
Yeah, fantastic. So I hear this term tokenomics often used in the blockchain and Web3 space. So can you please tell us, what does it all mean?
So the tokenomics is basically the economics of the token. How is the token going to affect the ecosystem, and what's its place within that ecosystem? How does it work? What's its utility within this blockchain ecosystem, right? It can go from basically trying to stop the inflation that goes with the supply, how you're going to release that supply of your tokens, and who's going to own it, who's going to be able to stake it, the different staking pools there can be in place. And so, yeah, it's really a way to plan out basically the supply and demand of this token in a way that's going to give it value, real value. Tokenomics that's well set up is crucial for companies like this, like us, and that's why our team spent quite a lot of time working on those tokenomics.
I heard that you mentioned different blockchain levels. I heard a level 1 blockchain, right? And so again,
Layers, layer 1, layer 2s. Layers, basically some blockchains were created very early on, obviously as Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And you have those different layers in blockchain where early stage projects, so layer 1 projects such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, are not able to necessarily answer to the needs of today's blockchain world, And so that's the reason why a lot of projects are built on top of those layer 1s as layer 2s. The other reason why there are so many layer 2 and layer 3 solutions is because it takes quite a lot of time to set up a proper blockchain that works properly with a good developer community, etc. What we did was a layer 1 blockchain. So we took the time to develop our own proprietary technology in a way where we won't rely on other people's technology. And the reason why we did that is because no other blockchain had the specs needed to answer to the problems we were trying to answer, basically, we're trying to solve. And so what we did is basically we picked a bit of the best from every IoT project that was out there. And throughout the years, we were able to develop something that is truly dedicated to data governance. We put the work in for years. We've been around since 2012, which is ancient for blockchain projects in general. But it's because it was created out of necessity, been successful so far, and I think the sky's the limit for our blockchain, truly.
You mentioned a lot of different value propositions, and what I'm interested in seeing, like, do you have some visuals you can show us? Because a lot of it sounds very technical. I'd like to see if you have any kind of visuals you can show us where we can better understand where you can provide value.
Of course, no problem. Yeah, I think it'll help a bit the audience to see exactly what we've done, for example, with this data and with this system, and what we can do in the future. So I'll skip to you the whole introduction. There's 3 use cases. We've worked with quite a lot of companies, but there's 3 use cases that I can put forth. So this is with Enedis, which is basically the sub-company of the Électricité de France, which is EDF, the electricity distribution network, who we've worked with. And so this is a very concrete use case of our technology. So what we did is that we installed our blockchain on their substations, which are critical installations. What they do basically is that they down the voltage from high voltage power lines to low voltage power lines so that they can be used in industrial installations, train stations, hospitals, and in the cities in general. But so they're quite critical. Those failures can cost quite a lot, and a lot can go wrong with those. And so what we did is that we did predictive maintenance for this company. First, it was a proof of concept, so just a test, and it was successful. And now we're being installed in about 12 substations across the French territory. What they needed, first of all, was mobility, right? That was one of the first challenges they mentioned when they came to us, and they needed quick intervention. They would usually have maintenance systems, those boards we call synoptic boards, and so they would need to get rid of that immobility and have people on the field ready to address the problem directly at any time. And so what we did with our blockchain is that we embedded it in Android devices as well as iOS devices. We don't use a lot of energy, and we can be embedded in very low CPU consumption devices, basically, right? And so what they can do is have on their tablets in real time all the data that is emitted from the sensors. And so in real time, they can see exactly what's going on with their installations. And whenever something goes a tiny bit off track, they're warned because that's the concept of predictive maintenance. They can anticipate something going wrong with their installations. Another thing is the fact that they need to have trusted information, and that's because they had quite a lot of false alarms before. And so blockchain technology in this case was an advantage for them, because they could, with the traceability and of this data and the fact that it was processed at the edge, they could trust that information while maintaining this alertness 24/7, since we have a constant data feed via the blockchain.
So I heard that your company is known for the famous saying.
Something we like to say that is very true and that really illustrates our utility for this use case very well is the fact that the cathedral Notre Dame in Paris wouldn't have burned if Kalima was in place. And that's because there was data that was generated up to 6 hours before the fire took place that could have been used and that could have been used for a warning to the firefighters, and that wasn't. With our system, basically, it would have been a real-time information, a real-time alarm, and that could have helped them address that problem hours before the fire even went off. It's really a no-brainer for those companies a lot of times because it costs us about 50K to put in place that system for one substation, and the direct costs for one transformer burning, because it's very critical installations, was up to 1.2 million euros. That's one way of calculating the return on investment for those industrial companies. As you can see, I'll go quickly here, but yeah, we're planning to meet quite a lot of different companies. It can go big, basically, what we have in hand. All this to show that it's something that is very much based on real world use cases, right? It's something where there's a clear gap that needs to be addressed. We're able to address it in a way where those companies don't take too much risk and are able to see out what we can do and how they can apply it for themselves, it being so modular.
So just to summarize, so we can say that, okay, Kalima has a private blockchain for industrial use. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, so far mostly industrial. But really, it's any enterprise using data that can use it.
Fantastic. So let's switch gears for a little bit. So we talked about a lot of technical things. So I'd like to know, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? So how did you end up at Kalima?
I thought at first when I did my studies that I was going to do something in the domain of sciences, right? Or even physics or something like this. But I always had this Lebanese entrepreneurial aspect in mind. And so what I did was management studies. And with that, I was able to have a mix of this scientific background, this scientific interest that I have, which led me to going towards innovation in different industries and working with industrial companies at first, and mixing it with this now within this company with this new entrepreneurial basically venture, right? What I did at first, I worked a bit in the shipbuilding industry. I come from a background of a maritime background. My father creating this company that is in the maritime industry, so very engineered base. And then what I did is I worked in the French defense industry, in the innovation and future technologies department, where basically I was in charge of steering collaboration in between different startups and our company, and integrating this different those different technologies within our technologies. I was able to get a good view of what was interesting for me. I started getting myself into blockchain trading, cryptocurrency trading, thanks to very good friends of mine that introduced me to it. So yeah, after working in the defense industry, looking at what was working there, what were the new trends, I saw that blockchain was a hot topic. I thought it was something that was interesting. And I'll be honest, at first I was going to do something else, but then one of these friends I talked to you about convinced me to come, basically, and I was seduced by Kalima. And yeah, it's been great ever since. I've been able to mix both being in the Middle East, which is something I love, but also traveling, but also being in an entrepreneurial position, and also being in the world of real world use cases and industrial applications, which require a bit of scientific knowledge at the end of the day.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. So You mentioned you invested a little bit in crypto, right? You had some friends and they introduced you into the crypto world and you invested. So I'd like to know, how's your portfolio doing, right? Because right now crypto is like upside down right now. It's on fire. People are like, running out of burning buildings and stuff like that. So how has your portfolio been performing, and how is your overall basically perspective on the whole crypto space at the moment?
So I think that so my portfolio, like a lot of people right now, hasn't been doing as well as I would like it to go. Obviously, it's a bear market at the end of the day, but I do believe in those different cycles. I think they're bound to happen anyways, and they can be very useful in a way where they'll filter out proper projects, and will reshape also the mentality of a lot of people that try to get involved in those markets. Because for a moment, and it was like this for a moment, so I'll be honest, I was going to say people thought that you just got into the crypto space and made money, and at some point, to be honest, it was pretty much like that, and that was great. But you also got to be able to decipher which ones are scams, which ones aren't, which one it's not that they're necessarily scams, but are well developed or not. And so in that sense, a bear market will help you do that quite a lot. And so yeah, my portfolio, I guess I should have shorted a bit more. Uh, but yeah, I'm mostly in it for the long term. And so what I do is that about 3/4 of my portfolios are in three projects that I really like a lot, and I think are in it for the long term. And the rest, I kind of, let's say, experiment with it, But yeah, I still believe in the potential of cryptocurrencies, and I think that cryptocurrencies aren't only about basically creating a new monetary system. It's also about creating parallel rewarding systems, such as smart rewarding systems, and then you can monetize those. But you can also create different rewarding systems that aren't necessarily just for financial gain.
You invest in crypto, but Kalima's technology is built on blockchain, right? What is the difference? Is there a difference?
So for me, the way I see it is that crypto is an application of blockchain. You don't necessarily need it, but the way you need it, for example, in our sense, is that it's what generates the value behind a system. It's what translates the utility of a project in terms we understand.
Would you say Kalima is a traditional company that's investing or building on top of blockchain? Or is Kalima a startup that's based off of blockchain that has industrial use cases?
So this is where it gets tricky with our company. It's a bit of both. We started out more so as an industrial company that has use cases, that then realized that we needed blockchain, right? But today, Kalima Blockchain, which is a company on its own, is this blockchain ecosystem that we're trying to embed in the developer ecosystem, in the blockchain world, a version of our technology, as I said, on testnets, etc., in those different markets with those different players, so that people could see exactly what the utility of our blockchain is, and so that they can see that it's really based on real world usages, right? And so to be honest, to make it short, it's a bit of both.
Okay. And are you self-funded or are you seeking capital?
So we are seeking capital, and obviously, we've had revenues for the past years, because as I said, we were a company before that, but now it's a whole different ballgame, right? The ambition we have is completely different, and what we need to put in place a proper functioning for our ecosystem requires a minimum of funds, and so that's why we're doing on our entity Kalima Blockchain. we're doing fundraising both in equity and through our ICO, again, on February 3rd.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned that you're Lebanese and you're from the region. And so you said your heart is here. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So yeah, I'm half French, half Lebanese. As you can see, most of my looks have been inherited from the French side of the family. However, I'd say that to be honest, my Lebanese side shows up mostly in the way I think, my mentality, my approach to life. Also, the fact that we're a population, I believe, that's quite resilient due to everything that's happened to us throughout our recent history, makes it that I saw what my father was able to do, going from a place where our family lost everything, and building something. And so in that sense, being able to just be a hustler, basically, having something that you really want to do, being able to live up to your potential, is something that I think is reflected not only in the Lebanese culture, but in the Arab culture quite a lot. And so that's why I like the Middle East quite a lot. We do obviously enjoy life, etc., but we're very ambitious, and we like to put in to create value and put in the work. But yeah, otherwise I like the food pretty much. And
And you mentioned that you also spent some time in Qatar. Can you tell us a little bit about that in Qatar?
So yeah, Qatar is basically where I grew up.
Wait, is it Qatar or Qatar?
It's Qatar, but yeah, no, I guess you can say Qatar.
Qatar, yeah.
Yeah,
That's how we say it, Qatar, yeah.
yeah, Qatar, even Qatar, I heard. But yeah, it's an interesting country. I like its evolution quite a lot. I kind of grew up with it. They're willing to do the things that they're willing to put the means behind the things they want to see be created, basically. And so in a way, it's basically a way of saying that they go big in things that have value to their eyes, and that I respect a lot. If you look at other countries that are very rich in resources, a lot of them don't do as well as them, and that's because they had those values, and they had their own way of conducting business, and they had their own pride, etc. And so that's something that also shows what strength they have.
And so we understand what brings you to the region, but can you tell us a little bit about what brings Kalima to the region?
The fact that the UAE created such an ecosystem where you can thrive in business if you create real value is really what made us come here, because we believe that we have that great value to add. And so we saw the markets. It's not the biggest markets. I actually think that analysts underestimate the market of the Middle East. They say the IoT market in the Middle East is about 5% of the global markets, which, in my opinion, to be honest, is BS. And so I want to prove that there are so many opportunities here, and I'm sure that it's basically the Middle East and the UAE and the Gulf in general is the new land of opportunity. And I like the fact that if you have something that's special, you can communicate it well with respect, then people will be able to look at what you have and recognize the value that you're offering. And so that's what we're doing here.
And also, are you guys hiring?
As of today, we are not. However, and that's part of our expansion strategy, the more contracts we're going to get, and we're on our way to getting more contracts, the more we're going to have local people working with us and understanding what we do and being able to work with those partners we have. And so after our ICO, if everything goes well, we will also add members to our core team. And so, and yeah, the sky is the limit in terms of growth for each of our entities. And in the Middle East, it only depends on how our ICO goes and on how many contracts we have.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about, for people who have parents that are very traditional, right?
Yeah.
And they want them to have like traditional type of jobs. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of how you bridge those two things together?
To be honest, if you look at the way we operate, it's a bit of the best of both worlds, because you're in a company that has a proven track record, yet that is at a stage which offers you the possibility of being entrepreneurial, right? We're also a company which uses deep tech innovation. We created our own system using blockchain, using smart rewarding systems, and we're trying to fit this new innovative technology in so many different ways. And so in that sense, you'll be able to have a very valuable experience with this new technology we put in place. We're doing this for companies that are usually quite big and that are usually industrial. We're trying, and so, for example, if I'm going to work with an oil and gas company, and I'll be doing real-time digital twins on their installations, and I'm going to learn quite a lot about the oil and gas sector, about how their installations work, about so many different things. And so in that sense, they'll also give you a broad yet specific experience when it comes to, let's say, legacy or classical industries. It's the same way people say NFA for non-financial advice, NPA, non-parental advice. But I think it's great for young minds to be able to have certain responsibilities.
Fantastic. And I guess my last question here is, like, what do you see as the future of blockchain? And more specifically, what do you see the future of blockchain, Web3, crypto in the region?
So the future of blockchain is very broad. Just with our blockchain, I cited to you so many different use cases, and we're a very, let's say, specific blockchain. So the future of blockchain in its entirety is very, very, very broad. But that doesn't mean that every project is going to work, and it doesn't mean that the ones that people think are going to work now are going to. Maybe it does, but you can never really know that. But yeah, there's a number of different specific applications I could tell you about, which I'm sure will flourish amazingly in the years to come. The metaverse, gaming, new cryptocurrencies, where I believe the true potential really lies is in use cases based on real world applications. And that's because it's where basically you can add utility to the blockchain from the utility that already exists from those real world applications, right? So it's basically mixing physical and digital together. So phygital, actually, there's a term for that, yeah. But also NFTs, tokenization in general, being able to also give back ownership, security, independence to different people through blockchain technology. I think this is where the true potential lies.
Fantastic. So Basile Jannoun oversees blockchain and Middle East activities at Kalima.
Indeed.
So thank you so much for joining us during this episode. We look forward to much great things from you guys moving forward, and let's stay connected.
Thanks a lot, you guys. Keep in touch with me. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and via mail, or to our team on different social medias, for sure.
Thank you. So you mentioned about liking the food. So what's your favorite dish?
Oh my God, this is a hard one, man. I think, to be honest, and I'm not, it's weird because I'm not so much of a sweets guy, but it's my favorite dessert. That's kniffy. And kniffy is this type of cheesecake, melted cheesecake. That's very good. I love this. And otherwise, all food is good, man. All food is good. I love, I just can't choose, to be honest. Yeah.